What?
All right then, that was a fucking quick timer. That's because Ian put you off your fright. I blame him. Blame the English.
I don't know what happened. Seriously.
Welcome everybody to tonight's Fright-ners. If I don't make any eye contact with you tonight, it's because of the strobe lighting, but I'm still here and I'm still listening. So guys, tonight I'm going to start the show a wee bit differently tonight, right? Because it's a very special lady's birthday on Sunday. It's Vivian's birthday on Sunday. So I want us to sing Happy Birthday in Tourette style for her. So I hope you have got your singing gear on, lads.
Tourette.
No. It's like Happy birthday to fucking you. Happy birthday to fucking you. Happy birthday, dear fucking Vivian.
So basically,
happy birthday. No, but Mama Vivian, sing happy birthday there. But I'll share this out, guys. Tonight we're going to talk about the Titanic. So while I'm sharing this out, guys, and happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody in Ireland and everywhere else in the world. You've got the boys in green. I've not got any green, but I'll tell you what. To sort of make my thing, I'll go green with the light. So you talk among yourselves. How's your week been, guys?
Okay.
Eric, he was asking about whose birthday was it?
It's Vivian's birthday on Sunday.
Yeah, it's this upcoming Sunday, Vivian's.
So, Bri, are you going to give us some facts then?
Ladies and gentlemen, right, Titanic tonight. It was a passenger liner of the White Star Line. It sank on the 15th, although there is some documentation that said it was the 14th because it was the early hours of the morning, but it actually sank on the 15th of April in 1912 due to contact with an iceberg. It was built in 1909, well, started being built in 1909 and launched in 31st of May, 1911. There's loads of facts about it. It took 2 hours and 40 minutes to sink. There were no there's no survivors left to date. The last survivor died in 2009. The ship sank 400 miles south of Newfoundland when it set out from Southampton. It was the largest ship of its time. It didn't have enough lifeboats as it was considered unsinkable, a little bit like Bismarck of its time. Deaths today are 1,635. And they're still calculating, but that's today. I don't know why. It just shows how much a ticket were. The tickets on Titanic varied from like dimes to dollars because you could gain entry and still more or less stow away in underbelly at ship for next to nothing. Mainly Irish immigrants into America. And I know it's a little bit off track, but this is where corned beef and cabbage came from as an Irish saying for St. Patrick's Day. But it's not a traditional Irish meal. It was only introduced through Irish immigrants into America because it was a cheap and affordable meal. And it became known as a traditional Irish meal, but only through immigrants. But there you go. That's your facts, guys.
is here. Hi, Stephen. Hi, Lynn. Hi, Ria. I think what I find the most ironic about the Titanic is that how they can claim that a boat. Hi, Joanne. That a boat, can't think. That to make those claims, I think, was total ironic. Unless they believed themselves that the ship couldn't sink. But it was just like, it's just crazy. Was there no like, I know Ian's going to kind of hit on the conspiracies, right? But was there not like, that wasn't the first ship that was made by the same people that sank?
Yeah, its sister ship was
Ah.
Yeah, it had two sister ships, didn't it?
yeah.
Olympic and Britannic.
Which I think the Britannic, weren't it, that survived the longest.
No, it's Olympic.
Yeah, I thought it was the Olympic too.
Yeah, the Olympic outlasted the other two. Britannia was a completely different colour as well. It was white with red crosses on
it. But I know that the sister ships, they were designed by a gentleman called Thomas Andrews of Harlan in Wolf. He was a brilliant designer. And I mean, when I watched the Titanic actual film, what really memorised me about the Titanic was the design of like the whole sea where Jack and Rose at the very end, where she has that dream of seeing him again, and it's like in that beautiful like stairwell. Oh, really, it's really, really beautiful. So, what conspiracies have you got, Mr. Navarro?
Oh, well, the biggest conspiracy, of course, is the one where the Titanic is not actually the Titanic.
Ooh, enlightening us with your theory.
Interesting fact that the Titanic and the Olympic were both built at the same time, although the Olympic was finished first, actually went out to sea, and it was involved in a crash with an American naval ship, came back in for repairs, and this is where the conspiracy gains, a bit of wrath behind it. The fact that rather than they repaired the Olympic to a certain state and basically changed their identities, because unless they're right next to each other, they look identical.
Yeah, the thing as well is Titanic left, or apparently it left, from Southampton. Yeah. So where was it from Ireland to Southampton to take all its passengers to America? It does get a bit dodgy, doesn't it, when you think about it?
Right.
Yeah.
Now, and that also just brought up saying that interesting that the group of ships were J.P. Morgan owned.
Yeah, that's the guy. And another thing about the conspiracy is as well, he was booked to be on the Titanic, and a week before he cancelled his ticket. He was also supposed to be taking about £1 million worth of artwork on board the Titanic to New York. That never went on the ship. So this also then again fuels the conspiracy that it wasn't the Titanic, and they knew it was going to get damaged at sea.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys watched that documentary that I sent you for obviously when they did the inquiry, but it was really damning what they found on the inquiry. It really, really was.
Lynn's asking, who was White Star? I don't remember hearing something about. I don't remember anything about White Star.
White Star was the name of the shipping company. It was a shipping line.
Oh, okay.
And J.P. Morgan then bought the shipping line, hence why he owned all three ships.
Yeah, and the giveaway to that is White Star Line cutlery and everything is well sought after. There's quite a lot of crockery that survived. They've pulled it up, and you can get hold of any saucers or plates with White Star Line. They're worth quite a lot. And that's another little bit of a conspiracy, because they were all made the same. There's quite a lot that survived from the other ships. And people are passing them off as being from Titanic or not, because obviously they'll be worth more.
Well, the only differences between the Titanic and the Olympic were the fact the glass screens around the side of the top deck had Titanic written on them. So all they had to do was swap them. And it was the wall plaques inside the ship. That's all they had to change.
Yeah.
To change its identity.
Now, Robert just said this. There was a different Titanic, had 14 portholes on a picture, and Olympic had 13 ones, which had oval and one had oval and one had round. I don't know if that was. I'm not sure what the ending part of that means, but I'm not sure exactly what he means by holes on the ship.
One had. There was a difference. Titanic had 14-part holes on a picture, and Olympia had 13 ones. Had an oval and there was a round one. There was a round one, and then there was an oval one. What I mean, you think about it, right? There was people that the thing I think was quite annoying about, obviously, and I guess that was back then, where you would have the wealthiest people at the top, and then you would have like the lower class at the very, very bottom. And a lot of them, like, obviously I felt really dead sorry for the ones at the very bottom, because they seem to be the ones that get hit first. And what really stands out to me, and I was just talking to Brian Ain about this, which is ironic, but I'm beginning to think that the whole theory, and this goes a bit off topic, when people say that Facebook and TikTok can hear you, I used to laugh and say, oh, don't be talking shite. But funny enough, this whole past week on my TikTok, now I was making the guys laugh and saying about, obviously, on my TikTok, I watch a guy that's from Turkey that does belly dancing. Now I can understand why men get memorised by women, right? So I have that, and I have things about serial killers. But funny enough, for the past week, I've had things come up about the Titanic. Now I've no searched on TikTok about the Titanic, but suddenly it's been appearing up in my TikTok, which was quite ironic. But one of the videos, I think it was like comparing what the film, obviously, what parts it was true and what parts it wasn't. And what stood out to me the most was the part where the gentleman comes down and he's very, very smartly dressed, very the best of clothes, and he refuses a life jacket. And that actually did happen. That gentleman actually did do that. He said, what was it? His words was, if he was going down, he was going down as a true gentleman. Was the actual words. And I thought, oh, that was dead sweet. But it was good to see what was real and what wasn't. And I think it was like 90% it was true when they were reflecting on passengers. And I think Bri said something about the before we came on about the guys that done the tune. What was it you were saying, Bri, about that?
Yeah, it's orchestra. They were left on deck. They did 2 shifts and they had to do a third to keep people calm. And they were playing till the end. And one of them remarked, saying that we're not going to get paid for this, are we?
But one of the things that they did say, according to some theories, was the Titanic was already doomed from the start by design. Though, like, the Olympia class ships featured a double bottom and 15 watertight bulkhead compartments equipped with electric white watertight doors that could be operated manually or automatically by a switch on the bridge. And to deem them practically unsinkable, but the watertight compartment design contained a flaw that was a critical factor in the Titanic sinking, which was while the individual bulkheads were indeed watertight, the walls separated the bulkheads extended only a few feet above the waterline, so water could pour from one compartment into another, especially if the ship began to list or pitch forward. The other second critical safety lapse on the Titanic was the loss, obviously so many lives, there was a mere 16 boats plus 4 collapsibles that could accommodate, just 1,178 people. And Titanic actually carried up to 2,435 passengers and a crew of approximately 900, brought our capacity to more than over 3,000 people. As a result, even if the lifeboats were loaded to full capacity during an emergency evacuation, there was available seats for only 1/3 of those on board. And you just think, why did they not stay within that limit? Sure, there was people that were sneaking on, but even then, did they not have something that documented who was there?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the things with the bulkhead. They were immediately changed in the Olympic after the Titanic sank. So those things were rectified almost straight away. One of the other things that sort of backs up the theory of an insurance scam, and that was a guy on his deathbed who claimed that he was a 22-year-old seaman on the ship. Said it wasn't just the iceberg that sank it. Apparently, there was a coal burner that had been burning for a week. The water hit it and it exploded.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Him and other members of the crew, when they actually got to shore, they were greeted by a member of the government and the company executive and made to sign the Official Secrets Act, not to talk about what had gone on.
See, I never heard of that before, but it doesn't surprise me, though, about the coal burner exploding.
Yeah. It does make a lot. I've seen it in a few places where I was researching. It's been brought up quite a few times.
Weren't it an auxiliary burner? Primarily, its function was as a bilge. And because that blew, they couldn't even get rid of water that were encroaching because there were no bilge.
Nah. Well, the pipes were in the pumps and everything were in the wrong place.
Yeah.
And this is something they realised, and then they updated it on the Olympics so that you had longer pipes.
Yeah.
Do you think, right, I would love your guys' opinion, but do you think that maybe Titanic was a trial run to see before they set the Olympic off to see how it would go?
No, the Olympic had already been at sea for a year before the Titanic was finished. And hence why it had its crash with a naval ship, an American naval ship, and it came back in for repairs. So there were 2 times the Olympic and the Titanic were both in dry dock together.
Oh, wow. Wow. Do you know, I really love this subject about the Titanic. In fact, I'm hoping Robbie's watching because Robbie's fascinated, absolutely fascinated with Titanic. And when I used to investigate with Robbie, he actually had his own wee shrine to the Titanic. It was really, really good. I think the one lady that stood out to me in the Titanic was a lady called Margaret Molly Brown. Her nickname was the Unsinkable Molly Brown, because by she was helping to maintain calm and order while the lifeboats were being loaded and boosted the spirits of her fellow survivors. I mean, that must have been frightening. Like, you're in a ship and then suddenly you're lying there believing this ship is unsinkable, and I still don't get my head around why people would think it was unsinkable. But I suppose when somebody makes it exciting and it's like wow. Then obviously, like, I can't imagine the fear of the people, because if there's one thing that I'm absolutely petrified of, is very, very deep water. I am absolutely petrified. So I can't even start to imagine what must have been through their minds that night.
Yeah, I mean that's the point as well. That's a point as well where they said that sharks took a lot of people, but they mentioned the species of shark, and it's not possible because the biggest eater of people is tiger sharks, and it's documented through war that tiger sharks used to attack people, but not in that region. Not in that region.
That's what I was actually just about to say, because this was in a more pretty much close to the kind of like almost the Arctic area. It would not be possible for really very many sharks, if any at all, to be like living in that area. So it was, I think I could sure understand knowing, even though there weren't sharks you had to worry about, just knowing how freezing the water is. And you just knew that if you were in the water, even if you managed to keep your head above water to prevent yourself from drowning, you probably would know very quickly that hypothermia was not very far away when you were stuck in that freezing water for even just a short time, because that's just a perfect recipe for death to occur for those that were in the water.
Exactly. I mean, there were sharks, there were white sharks, and there were Newfoundland sharks, which are obviously they're a deep sea species. Yeah. So they'll hoover up whatever's dropping in water table, but not in the amounts, not in the sufficient amount, because they weren't predatory sharks as such. There weren't enough. There weren't enough sharks for everybody.
Bless you. Once a wish.
Have you grown a beard, Louis?
I have. I've actually became. Do you know what? I've grown a beard. My hair's became a wee bit greyer. I've actually became better looking.
Oh, that video you sent us earlier, you had hair all over your body, jumping at the door.
Listen, English, Japani. You don't tell everybody what I send you, because I don't want everybody knowing that I'm a hairy lady.
Well, to be honest, Nick's interested because now we found a link between Bigfoot and us.
Yeah.
Well, that's exactly it.
Called an orangutan.
Listen, just because I started with the Bigfoot, it wasn't my fault that they found, obviously, my feet, the size 10s. Oh, so you tell me that you can't. Oh, look, there's Nick making me feel good. He's going as Jeremy and all. What was it? Eric says, Lois, so you tell me that you can't even go on the ocean that's around your country, not to even see the whale stuff. I'm okay-ish with boats, but I don't quite fancy like being out too long.
Well, ironic, isn't it, really? Because Loch Ness is actually deeper, even though it's not very wide. It's deeper than most of us oceans.
Yeah, exactly.
It is. What is it? At least about 800 feet deep, maybe even deeper than that.
Yeah.
Well,
No.
I reckon Loch Lomond, you could get Ben Nevis and stick it in the water and it wouldn't touch the bottom.
Eric.
There's only between you and the Bigfoot, Jeremy.
Too bad Jeremy's not watching. I think he would have liked this.
Listen, Jeremy York I've came through as Jeremy York tonight. It's just because I feel highly ignorant that I'm not looking at the camera. I'm actually looking down the way to avoid the light. So I just thought I'd put myself in an avatar tonight. So I'm going as Jeremy.
So has anybody got any info on where the actual film came from? This romance?
The movie?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the facts that connect it. You know what I mean? For me, it's just a romantic film on a ship called Titanic. I don't know what truths are involved.
Yeah.
I don't know, but do you know what? You're all going to laugh and call me a sadist, but the only other thing I like about that film is the fact that the boat sinks. I don't like the whole fucking romance, the whole. Blah. I just thought
I actually just saw a picture from, well, not necessarily a picture from the movie, but it was actually a behind the scenes photograph. I don't know who posted it, but it was a picture of Leonardo DiCaprio and whoever the actress' name was. I don't remember.
Kate Winslet.
Yeah, Kate Winslet. And it was kind of so ironic and actually a little bit funny to look at, because here they are, that's supposed to be in this historic romance film that had a very serious plot line, and here they were kind of joking around on set. It was just so bizarre. Seems like a behind the scenes photograph of them just like hanging out or something like that. I just never expected something like that for such a relatively well written and serious storyline to it.
I'm going to say it's only box office that, Nick, because it's too old for him.
The moral of the story from the film was never meet a woman on a boat because you're going to die.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And do you know what? I love the tune, and funny enough, it's an Irish tune that they play on board. It's called the Third Class Irish, and that wee tune, I totally love that wee tune. Oh, it's brilliant! It is, guys. You really should listen to it. I read the necklace, Heart of the Ocean, was real and actually on the ship. Oh, I didn't even know that, Nick.
I'm surprised I haven't got
really. Wow.
Well, it's certainly going to be fucking English. He's heart in the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah, well, that's another part of conspiracy, because I reckon that was for insurance purposes, if I'm not correct, Ian.
Yeah.
The necklace and all the jewelry.
There was a lot of stuff that was on there, probably for insurance. I mean, as somebody mentioned earlier, there was a lot of rival to the federal bank at the time, and that was another way of stopping that from happening.
Yeah, the lady that's involved, Rose. Is it Rose West?
Rose West?
Sure.
No, that's
Rose West is a serial killer.
Well, if she was on the ship, that explains a lot.
What do you call her? Rose?
She called herself, right, at the end of the film, whether this is real or no, but she took his name at the very end of the film. But for the life of me, I can't remember what her name was at the start, but at the end of the film, she took his, so it was Rose Dawson.
We're so good, yeah? Doing a blog on Titanic, we ain't got a clue.
Listen, this is what I love about this show. We go into these topics. We don't claim to come in and know everything. And the good thing is we can see when we make like a laughing joke about, obviously, like you said, Rose West. I thought, that's a cracker. Wait a minute, Terry Derrick. Sorry, Eric.
Yeah, holy crap, he's got a novel right here.
Not that. What did I say? Go on, Will.
He's trying to steal our jobs.
But Eric, just to say what you were thinking about the Loch Ness Monster, I can already guess what you were thinking, because so was I.
Oh, our second name was what? Here comes my sister. She can do it. Jewett Bacata. That was her name. That was my sister. They did that research. She's not getting a fucking part in the show.
Yeah, she won't let you chain her up in the basement. That's why.
But listen, English, you're going towards sleeping on the fucking cold floor tonight.
Yeah.
By far the largest group of passengers was in the third class. There was actually more than 700, exceeding the other two levels combined. Some had paid less than $20 to make the crossing. It was third class that was right, this is actually quite surprising. It was the third class that was a major source of profit for the ship lines. Like White Star and Titanic was designed to offer these passengers accommodations and amenities. But when you watch the film, the third class, literally, the rooms were very, like, they weren't even, like, really, really good. They were, like, really dinky, if that makes sense.
They went down the belly of the ship, weren't they?
Oh, God, yeah. And the rooms, you know, thing, but the one that stands out to me the most is the wee man and woman that hugged each other. Hey, Sarah Louise, I've became a man tonight.
She looks like she kind of could be basically Jeremy's lookalike.
No, don't tell everybody. I don't want everybody knowing what's down below.
Even Sarah said she looks different.
I know.
Did you notice that, Ian? He didn't get a reprimand like we do.
She's had an all-over body shave this week, especially.
I would just like to announce that I'm a man.
Yeah, we suspected for a while.
Yeah.
Listen, don't you tell everybody what I do in my private life. But no, the reason is, guys, is because I'm quite sensitive to Nick's light. So with me having my camera off, I'm not actually looking at the tablet at all. I'm actually looking to the ground. So I don't want to be like dead ignorant and people think, oh, she's not interested. It's just tonight is because of Nick's light. I'm very light sensitive to things. Some things that No, shut up. It's fine. It goes with your paddiness. Lewis is that like a. Eric, that's exactly what happens. Can you remember in the Gremlins? You don't feed the Gremlins after midnight. That's exactly what's happened to me. Don't feed me after midnight.
Yeah, give her iron for after 10 o'clock.
Yeah,
I know, I'm swinging off the chandeliers. But yeah, I mean, obviously, there was other famous people that were on board. That obviously there was a guy called John Jacob Aston, I think, as the richest passenger aboard the Titanic. He was a real estate developer. And he met his fate on the Titanic. He and his pregnant wife booked a trip on the Titanic to return to the States to ensure the baby would be born in America. Though, according to the eyewitnesses, he clung to the side of the raft But as his body froze to death in sub-freezing temperatures, he let go and drowned. And when rescuers recovered the body, found $2,400 on him. And the other person that perished as well, he was Thomas Andrews. Andrews' purpose for travelling on the ship was to make observations and offer suggestions for improvement. However, when the hull of the ship collided with the iceberg, the shipbuilder knew Titanic's fate was sealed. While legend has it that Andrews, in the 1997 movie, obviously the guy that played him, was last seen standing in the first class smoking room. Many eyewitnesses' accounts claimed he was actually last seen actively assisting women and children into the lifeboats and throwing chairs into the water for others to use as floating devices, but his body was never identified. So there's a lot of, if I remember rightly, I'm sure in the film that guy that I mentioned first was the guy that was trying to pay off, trying to get in to the lifeboats, and he wouldn't take no for an answer.
Yeah, weren't that the guy that literally kidnapped a child to get in boat with the women?
Yep, that was the guy. I'm laughing at Eric. I thought for a second.
Wait, what? Oh, this here? Oh, yeah.
Aye. I'm seeing you on Tuesday, Mr. Eric. I'm looking forward to it. It's actually Tuesday that Eric's coming on. I thought it was Wednesday, but Viv says it's Tuesday, so it's on the day I'm in. So you've got me all to yourself, Mr. Eric. Interested that JP Morgan pulled out the trip. I think they probably knew a lot more than McLeod, as Ian was saying with these conspiracies.
JP Morgan pulled out the week before and decided to stay on the island that he was holidaying on at the time to carry on with his massage treatment. Now, some good massage.
See, funny enough, when we were talking about the people who were playing the music, they were actually travelling as second-class passengers. There was 8 of them on the Titanic, even though in the film you see 3. They were actually the most honoured victims of the tragedy. Led by Wallace Hartley, the band members played uplifting music all through the long, freezing cold night to calm passengers as they frantically took to the lifeboats. There's one that always stands out to me. Is it God Take Thee? I think it was called. Despite having the same rights as anyone else on board, the band chose to stay together and play until the end. A second-class passenger noted, "Mate, you know I love you, Lois, even though you're so Harry." I hope that's Harry and no something else, Mr. Thompson. Yes, Sarah Louise has got it near My God to Thee. Aye, that wee tune. Aye, they died as well, Jane. Eric's put me off my stride, see that, man?
You forgot where you were shaving?
That was it. I nearly cut my throat. Many brave things were done that night, but none were more brave than those done by men playing minute after minute as the ship settled quietly lower and lower in the sea. The music they played served alike as their own immortal realm and the right to be recalled on the scrolls of undying fame. Do you know what I'm curious about? I don't know if it did actually happen, but it was part of the film, was that the ship actually broke into 2.
Yeah, it cracked underneath because of the strengtheners not being capable of stopping the water. It actually snapped the bottom of the ship, so it snapped at the bottom first.
Under quality steel, music. But yeah,
China.
I think I'm sure that it's a game of two halves with that. What's documented and what's real. Yes, I'm sure that there were heroes, but I'm sure there were a lot more. You can't call them cowards, but what you can call them is scared people.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there are a lot more cowardice in that respect. People wanting to find somewhere surviving, obviously, it's common sense. Then there were heroes.
Natural instinct, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is. Rats leaving a sinking ship, innit?
Yeah.
But
in this
I
case,
get-
to leave it.
I mean, the interesting facts, what they're trying to say was the Titanic was never actually described as unsinkable. The Titanic was claimed by its builders to be practically unsinkable, but that's still the fucking same thing.
Yeah, but unfortunately, they said the same thing about Atlantis, didn't they? But there you go.
That's like planes turning around and saying we never fall out the sky.
Well, true.
Apparently, the Titanic had a swimming pool on board.
Yeah.
I think it had more than one, didn't it?
Yeah, it definitely did afterwards.
Certainly
Well,
weren't.
there is actually something I wanted to bring up very quickly. I don't know if you guys know this, but since we were talking about the 1997 film a few times, you guys know that first off there were a few other films that were made about the Titanic, right? Did you guys know about that?
Yeah.
Okay, so this leads me then to my next question: is do you guys know what the first film was when they?
No.
You guys don't know about that one? So
I've probably seen it, but I can't remember it.
I don't know if you. I'm not sure if you would have seen this movie. It's the first ever film that was based on the Titanic story. It was a movie called Saved from the Titanic. Ironically enough, it was literally released a month after the Titanic sinking on May 16th, 1912. So it's of course, obviously, it's a silent movie. What's that?
I said I probably wasn't there for that.
Yeah, I would think so either. But let's see. So, what's interesting about this film that I found is that among the star actress in this movie was an actress by the name of Dorothy Gibson, who was an actual survivor of the sinking of the Titanic.
That's the lady that played the older version, Rose, when she's telling the story to the camera, to the the crew.
I don't think that's her, but
is it? I thought that's who it was, the lady that was older version of Rose.
No, yeah, that wouldn't have been her because I mean, as far as regarding the actress, Dorothy Gibson herself, she died in 1946. So
right. Well, that can't be her.
But it says here it premiered in the United States just 31 days after the event. It's the earliest dramatization of the tragedy, and it says that Gibson, the actress, had been one of 28 people aboard the first lifeboat to be launched from Titanic and was rescued about 5.5 hours after leaving the ship. Returning to New York City, she co-wrote the script and played a fictionalized version of herself. The plot involves her recounting the story of the disaster to her fictional parents and her fiance, with the footage interspersed with stock footage of icebergs. Ironically enough, along with Titanic's sister ship, the Olympic, and the ship's captain, Edward Smith. To add the film's authenticity, I can't say that damn word.
That's all right. When I try to say specific.
So what's even more amazing is that I'm actually going to share the screen so you guys can get an idea of what this actually looks like. But she actually wore the very same clothes that she wore the night the ship went down. And
really?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
what I'm about to do is I'm going to share the screen because I do have a publicity photo of her. So this is an actual photo of her, and those are the actual clothes she wore that night.
Mhm.
Oh, wow. Oh,
See,
wow.
the account I've watched is it's the clothes that probably for poetic reasons, poetic license. But there were the clothes that the lady wore when she was posing for a picture.
Hmm. I would see you answer your question, Bri. Going back to your question quickly, right?
Yeah.
You asked if obviously the story between Rose and Jack. The short answer is no. Jack and Rose were not real people on board the Titanic, but
Right.
it was a fictional character created especially for the film by James Cameron. The inspiration for Rose was actually an American artist who had nothing to do with the story of the Titanic sinking called Bernice Wood. Cameron was reading her biography while he was drafting the script and has explained that certain aspects of her personality, including her love of art and family background, ended up informing the character, even if only loosely. Meanwhile, though the character of Jack Dawson is not based on a real person, by pure coincidence, there was actually a Jack Dawson on board the ship in real life, a crew member by the name of Joseph. The love story between Jack and Rose is therefore entirely fictional, but that doesn't mean that some aspects of the film don't measure up to the reality. Cameron did a great deal of research into the tragedy, and several characters who appeared in the film, including Kathy Bates, who played Molly Brown, Thomas Andrews, Captain Edward John Smith, are indeed based on real figures who were actually on the boat that night. Meanwhile, several other small details from the film match up to the actual record. For example, it's true that the band continued to play even after the ship had hit the iceberg, while it's also correct that there was an elderly couple who decided to stay on the ship and spend their final moments together once it became clear that the ship was sinking. The story of the rescue of some of the passengers also more or less measures up to reality. It's true that two of the lifeboats returned to save people from the water, while the role played by the RMS, I'm not even pronouncing that name. 2 minutes, guys, sorry. I'm getting a bit distracted here. And rescuing survivors is also accurate. There are, of course, a number of inaccuracies in the film, which was the way that the ship sinks. Cameron has explained that he learned that a ship sinking in such a manner, splitting in half and all, is not actually technically possible, according to that.
They reckon it was only at 11 degrees, don't they, when it went down?
Mm-hmm.
Guys, I'll be right back.
Are you alright, Nick?
Yeah, I'm totally fine. I just got to grab something.
Alright. Is that your dinner again? Are you leaving your dinner going?
Wait, what?
You're cooking again. You obviously Nick's forever trying to leave stuff in that oven. I'm telling you, try to burn that down. Robert says, no problem, my love. I recall that DiCaprio person is a man from the future. He dies in a lot of things. You're bloody right, he does. When people back to get people, there's a man shit, you can see it. It's true. It did go to have. But yeah, I mean, it's good to know what's real in the film and what's not. And it's quite good that James Cameron did try and stick to factual, even if some of it was made up the love story. But you can imagine that that's how it probably would have panned out for somebody that was third class and one's first class. It's a good film, but as I said, I'm not into the romantic lovey-dovey shit. The only bit I liked was seeing the ship sink.
Yeah, well, you're definitely a man then, aren't you?
Listen, we will compare after show. I'd say mine was bigger.
I've seen two or three accounts. One account was that the actual captain did leave the ship. The last people to quit was the band. They played until it started. Literally, water around the legs before they quit. And I believe that's actual factual. But the captain that said he wasn't going to leave the ship, it's the old saying, the captain doesn't leave his ship. Well, this guy did, apparently.
Well, it actually caused offence to actually one of the officers that were on board that night's family. Because what it says and what it does in the film is that the first officer, William Murdoch, it made him look like a villain in the film. Oh my God, I thought one Jeremy was enough, Polly. did you not know me and Nick are twins? Listen, I honestly...
I'm surprised you haven't seen this yet.
Poor Jeremy New York, he's not here to defend himself either, but I'll take his place at defend. Yes, there was a man with money in the USA, a multi-million, he was going to build it for some reason.
A multi-millionaire was going to rebuild it for some reason?
That's crazy. So the guy in the film, he shoots obviously two passengers while they were trying to escape before taking his own life, but that was actually, in fact, a lie. And one that actually enraged Murdoch's family to the degree that the Vice President, Scott Neeson, had to travel to Scotland to deliver a personal apology.
Yeah, the guard that was watching the security gates for third class, that's actually true, because he kept trying to shout to the bridge to get clarification. Can we let them out? Can we let them out? And eventually it was given that they could be released, by which time it was obviously too late for a lot. The water was halfway up the gate. And I think that's incorporated in film in part, but it shows you this guy running away and they managed to get out. But in actual fact, it was opened. He was allowed to open that gate, but too late, obviously.
The actual Don Lynch, the historian for the Titanic Historian Society, he was actually part of the film crew, so that was really good having somebody with that knowledge. I went to see Titanic especially when it came to Manchester. It was very cold and eerie. I could only imagine the night what it would be like.
Yeah,
it was more
it's haunted as well, the exhibition.
Yeah.
People have actually caught a figure walking through the wall on the exhibition.
Oh,
it has got Titanic in it.
It was more poor die on the ship, definitely, Jane, without a shadow of doubt. That's what I was saying earlier on. The more you would think on that type of ship that it would be mostly made up of people that was richer than rich, but actually what I read earlier on was that it was mostly made up of third class, which is quite ironic.
Yeah.
You know, I was just doing, it's just too bad, how there was an exhibition, and I was just mentioning a few minutes ago about the film that was made. It's too bad that they don't have a copy of that movie, because it says here that, because I'm sure some people are probably wondering, is there any way that, you guys or anyone can watch this film, say from the Titanic? Unfortunately, as far as anybody knows, no copy of the film is known to exist. It's essentially a lost film. So, in other words, it's been lost to time. In fact, they say the last known prints were destroyed in the Eclair studio fire in March 1914. So, as a result, only a few printed stills and promotional photos are known to survive. It was
Well,
also-
see when I'm ready.
I was going to say, it was
Right,
also
when you go.
sorry. It
That's
was
all right,
also
love this.
It was also Gibson's final film that she did, as she actually suffered a mental breakdown after completing it. They say, according to the report of the Harrisburg Leader, she had practically lost her reason by virtue of the terrible strain she had been under to graphically portray her part. So it was almost like PTSD from the actual event that she was suffering.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to do that next week, guys? I know it's totally off topic, but Nick's just gave me an idea for next week's show, talking about films and the effect it has on people. Like, prime example, like The Exorcist, obviously, how, obviously the spooky story behind that and things like that. That would be a good show.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I've got a couple for that.
One
Yeah.
final thing I just got to
And the film starring you, Charles
final
Blake.
thing I just got to say about just one final
Yeah.
note too. I just found about this movie is that even though it doesn't exist anymore, this movie did actually get where did it say? Okay, I don't know where it went, but this movie actually did get pretty positive reviews when it was released on, a month after the tragedy, although not everybody was really thrilled by this film because some criticized it for commercializing the tragedy that was just a too soon event. So they never expected something like this they never thought a movie would be made about this literally a month after the actual tragedy.
Yeah.
That's it. But do you know, find, right, if something like this happens, people are dying to make a movie of it. Now,
So-
get it together.
What do you mean get it together? I'm trying here.
Thanks very much, Sarah Louise. I do come up with good ideas sometimes, about 20% of the time.
Robert.
Lois, I thought you liked Nick flashing at you. I do, but I just don't like that colour of the light because it ends up with a strobe thing. Right, guys, I was saying this on last night's show quickly. Nick's gave me a wee bit of inspiration. In fact, he gives me a lot of inspiration. I actually should really think for myself, but Nick does the thing for me. Thank God there's somebody there that does the thing for me. But Nick and me were having a discussion, and Nick was telling me about, obviously, the Nick files and how he's got it all planned to January. And I kind of thought, I really need to get my ass in gear and get that sort of things as well, right? So that I'm not saying every week, because I probably drive these guys off the pits asking every week what subjects we're doing. So what I'm thinking, guys, is that I'm going to sit down over the weekend and make a plan of subjects that basically that we'll talk about every week. It'll be like a Jerry Doom and things like that, except mine will be coming out of a cauldron. Well, Lois, get it together. I love you, Joanne. I love when somebody tells me to get it together. I fucking do need to get it together, believe me.
No chance of that happening.
Fuck you, English. No, there's English to be after trying to thought dick. So, as I was saying, I'm going to put subjects together. So what I'm looking for you guys, because I always want you guys to feel included as much as what we do the show. We love you as the viewers to be part of the show as well. So what we would love, and especially you, Joanne, is just throw subjects to us that you want to see, that you want us to talk about. If you don't feel comfortable putting them in, obviously, the chat, you can always reach out to me and give me suggestions of what you guys want to see, because this show isn't just about us, it's about, thanks, Joanne. It's not just about us, it's about you guys and all, because it's what you are obviously really interested in. I nearly said reincarnation there because Robert popped up with reincarnation. I'll add that to my...
kind of read my mind actually, because I was going to say that news. We could talk about that one story how you transformed from being Lois to a hairy version.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. Since Dan came on as Tony Stockwell, I'll come on as Jeremy York, and I'll talk about obviously my life as a lady, and then I finished as a man. I'm sure Jeremy York won't mind. He'll have an absolute ball. Thanks, Jane, for popping in, darling. Very, very welcome. Wise old men. I know they fucking three wise jeans. Bear in mind, English is the oldest day is all.
What?
Next is the baby. But
I get that all the time.
but no, guys, definitely, yous are just important as we are. So if you guys have got any subjects, please feel free to obviously throw out subjects, guys. Definitely.
Yep, and you can let us know anywhere you want on his personal pages, DM us, or let us know through networks.
Definitely. What time are you all? It's 5 o'clock over here. It is 9:05 in Scotland.
Yeah,
Well, and England, funnily enough.
Yes.
No. Do you know what?
Yeah.
Do you know what? Right, Scotland has its own time zone. Then you've got Bri who stays in England. And then you've got Nick that's different time zone. But when it comes to barrel time, there's a fucking different time.
Yeah, for me over here, it's only about 4 o'clock in the afternoon over here.
We don't get to know what time it
Yeah,
is.
see,
down in
Eric's the same
England.
time zone as me.
That's all right. The clock's changed soon, and that'll change again.
Am I the only one that's seen that Ian's flashing Nick's colour?
What?
Three
Yeah,
wise
you
men and
are.
Lois.
Nom.
I must stay off that acid before I come.
Flashing, yeah.
Oh, I like the Glasgow. See, I don't mind with Celtic. I actually like Celtic, so ha, fuck you, English. I actually put you down as a Rangers fan, not a Celtic man.
There's a funny story there. My family split right down the middle.
Ah.
My mum's a Rangers supporter.
So you're not as daft as what you look.
I'm definitely not as daft as what you look.
Don't you insult my beard?
Yeah.
Don't you, why?
Only one wise woman and 3 men.
You've got it in one and you've got it in one.
Sure. If she's the wise one, we're all in trouble, trust me.
Joanne says, well, I'm Scot and Irish. So there she's half and half. Do you know what I've noticed, right? And I know this is totally off topic, but I'm beginning to notice a pattern in this, but see Americans in Scotland, they're actually no far, like their ancestors are no far off each other, because there's a lot of Americans that I speak to, including like obviously Joanne and Nick, and that's got Scottish in them. It's quite ironic.
Yeah, there's a lot of us Scots in Canada as well. Boston's full of Irish.
And
Yeah,
of course,
well,
over here in Chicago, we got like, it's been like this for now over 100 years. Like how we have like different blocks, like different areas throughout the city of like basically different ethnic groups, and groups like from different countries and stuff. So you have like, Polish section here, you got Irish section over here, German section over there. It's pretty diverse.
Yeah, you can always tell where our Scots and the Irish are in America because there's more bars.
Yeah, and over here, Joanne lives in Canada.
Those Yorkshiremen got sent to Australia and New Zealand.
Oh wow. The Americans are just. Oh, that's interesting. That's probably why I'm so fascinated by America. It's ironic. Know what I just discovered, guys, randomly? The violin owned and played by the bandmaster Wallace Hartley during the final moments before the sinking of the Titanic is actually displayed in a studio in Northern Ireland. The violin was recovered along with his body 10 days after he and the other band members played to calm the passengers. The instrument bears an engraved message from the musician's fiance that reads for Wallace on the occasion of an engagement from Maria. That's actually pretty cool.
That sounds like that violin was more buoyant than the fucking ship.
Well, it's common sense all trumpets went down.
Well, yeah.
But guys, it's been an amazing show. You're amazing as always, and thank you so much for what you guys do. And Ian, as I said, if you've got plenty of money, that's why I'm being nice to you.
Yeah,
Don't call me a creep, asshole. Right, I can put my cam back on.
Yeah, I decided to show what I actually look like. With it. I decided to show what I actually look like.
As I said, it's just the light sensitive. Obviously, Nick. All right, Nick. Bye, Nick.
Yeah, you scared him off. It was that bad.
Sorry.
Oh, he's coming. Good night, my lovely. Much love. Wait till we see Nicky. He's a paddy.
There we go. No.
Oh! Woo-woo! I better not say that. That Ian will tell me I'm a creep.
Next Irish sort of related thing that we do should be do leprechauns exist?
Oh yeah, that's not a bad idea.
That's an actual good one. I'll put that down in my hotter than a pair. I'll do. I like when you joke around. Thanks, Rhea. Listen, this is what this show is about. This is about seeing us natural. This is about seeing us, in our glory. It's about just being chilled and relaxed and having banter. Even though I slag the life out of Ian and Ian slags the life out of me, when it comes to hats down, I actually got full respect.
Scottish banter, that's all it is.
Yeah, man.
I keep telling you, you're fucking English. Get it? There's a load of fairies.
Yeah.
There's a load of fairies in England.
Right there.
There's especially funky double figures.
I never thought Scotland. I always thought that was more of Ireland that had the fairies.
Scotland's got. In fact, there's another subject: fairies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we'll be talking about English, but
Can have a
I seen that. That was a fly middle finger there. That was a kiddling. It's in the opposite direction.
Yeah, there's a mirror in the corner.
Is anybody get any lasting words?
Well, whatever, if the conspiracy behind the Titanic is real, the only way they will ever find it out now, because of all the paperwork and everything being lost, is if they look at the prop shaft and get the numbers off. That's the only way they could tell whether the Titanic is actually the Titanic.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So if you've got a snorkel, Lois, you've got a 3 weekend,
Oh, that's it. I mean, that's the best offer I've had in a year. So let's
And since
go.
you like deep water, you know, you can go for a swim.
I'll tell you what, ladies first. You're going first English. Because
Ian,
believe me,
swim.
believe me, if God asked me to sacrifice one of you fuckers, Ian would be going first.
Yeah. Don't worry, he's on my side.
Everybody have a good weekend. Much love to you all, guys. Speak to you all soon.
Bye.
Bye.